We'll see who cancels who.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Thursday. Clinically, Soup, Carla, Holiday, T-Minus, Lenny, Meatcakes. Good evening, DJ Dub. Welcome in, my friends. Princess Kimberly. All my rowdy friends are here tonight. Fragwits. Welcome in, friends. So glad to see you. It's a cold day here on the East Coast. It's been springtime. I've been happy. I feel like the seasonal depression just lifted away from me. And all of a sudden, it's cold again. What the fuck is up with that? I'm tired of the cold. You know, our friends in the middle of the country got slammed yesterday and overnight the night before with heavy snow. But I don't like this shit. I was ready for spring. I'm ready. We were doing porch sitting. Curiouser and I were doing porch sitting. I was ready for porch sitting weather. Give it back to me. I'm not ready for this. Oh, I'm not ready to do this show tonight either. We got all kinds of stupid news. Multiple stories about deportation. The administration still providing a judge questioning their deporting of Venezuelan migrants, calling the administration's justification woefully insufficient. An Orange County couple has been deported, even though they're here legally. A Georgetown graduate student being deported for supposedly supporting Hamas. An immigrants' rights activist has been arrested, apparently on the short list to be deported. But hey, you know, Trump supporters, it can't happen to you. It's not going to affect your life. Except I have a story. This man by the name of Bradley Bartell, a Trump voter with a Peruvian wife, that is in Peru right now because his dumbass voted for the leopards eating faces party, thinking that the leopards wouldn't eat his face. A Wyoming lawmaker facing backlash from their constituents. We got a fired Trump official saying she's ready to go scorched earth. Trump doesn't want us to hear what she's got to say, and we're going to hear from her. Bernie and AOC held a rally earlier today. I'm pretty sure that the government shilling for Tesla isn't legal, but once again, who's going to stop them, right? I feel like the Commerce Secretary telling people to buy Tesla stock is highly illegal, but what do I know? All cars matter. I love that leopard emote. I love that leopard emote. I'm not high enough for this ship. Saturday, we're going to be doing classic wrestling at 6:05. It's going to be classic women's wrestling. The best of women's wrestling coming up this Saturday. I've already mapped out all the Saturdays leading up to WrestleMania. The week after, we're going to do WrestleMania 17 in its entirety because the other night we got cut off right at the ass end of the main event of Rock and Stone Cold. So as we enter WrestleMania season, we're going to watch WrestleMania 17 in its entirety. The last weekend in March. Minty, Cicero, good evening. So to make up for everybody missing the end of Stone Cold and The Rock, we're going to watch the entire event the next weekend. After that, I was going to do Best of John Cena that weekend, but I'm going to do that instead. If he wins at WrestleMania, you get Best of John Cena afterwards. Then in April, you're going to have Best of WrestleMania Shawn Michaels, and then the next week we're going to do just general Best of WrestleMania matches leading up to WrestleMania 41, as I am excited. Monday night on Live Music Monday, we're doing Korn and Deftones, two of the bands that are making the rounds on festivals this summer. As long as I'm plugging all of my shows, let's talk about tomorrow night. We're going to be doing Total Freakin' Request Live. That's going to start at 7 p.m., followed by the Friday Night Freak Show at 10 p.m. with a surprise guest. You're not going to want to miss it, I assure you. Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. And hopefully I'm going to be getting back to doing the freaking news now that I'm caught up on all the shit that I need to do. Boom. It's Marty Jannetty. I bet I could get Marty Jannetty on the show. I'm still not high enough for this shit. I'm going to have to pack another one here. Surprised guest. I mean, I feel like they were the ones asking to come on. I mean, not so. I feel like they were putting it out there to see if I would ask them to come on. And I did. They agreed. Anonymously, good evening. Apparently, Marty Jannetty, like, towards the end of his life, I'm not saying. I don't know who it is. Have no idea who this person's going to be with us tomorrow night on the Friday Night Freak Show. Light one up, tip one back, like it's a Tesla. I have a police chase with a Tesla. In the middle of all this Tesla coverage, I may just break out the police chase. Or I may save it for the end. I'm sorry, Tesla. We've got a Tesla police chase. Well, I didn't. So last night they started off in a Lexus, but didn't they end up in a Tesla? They carjacked the Tesla and then the Lexus rammed into it. It's all computer. Because I originally thought the Lexus was a Tesla, and I got corrected. But I think the second car that they stole was a Tesla. Girl of the Gray, good evening. Welcome in. Oh, one more hit. That's what the logo looks like anonymously, does it not? One more hit, then we'll get to the news here. It's serious. When you attack property in this country, it's a serious crime. Dip, thank you for the resub. Welcome in, my friend. Tesslers. Also, apparently a huge Tesla recall. We'll get into that, but first, let's talk about the education system in this country and how it's going to be dismantled. Oh, God, hold on. Let me catch my breath from the last hit. I'm trying. Oh, my God. Julie, welcome in. Oh, my, I can't. Bulletproof Baldy? Is that what it says? I get your blue all runs together, and I really can't see. I don't have a bong packed right now. I had my bowl. I'm having a hard time. I think I owe 3 more hits. Can I take a few minutes? I think I might be high enough. Speaking of people without brain cells, Trump destroying the Department of Education with the stroke of a pen earlier today.
After 45 years, the United States spends more money on education by far than any other country.
Julie, they just had me take like 4 hits before you got here. That's like it just back to back to back to back.
And spends likewise by far more money per pupil than any country, and it's not even close. But yet we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success. It's an amazing stat. Those are 2 stats you don't want. The most money spent per pupil, and you're at the bottom of the list. And that's where we are, like it or not. And we've been there for a long time. 70% of 8th graders.
Well, see, here's the thing: is if you do it by income, and you only take like the top 20% of the country, our test scores are really fucking good. It is, and it's those 20% that are getting all the funding. And you go to like the bottom 80%, they've got shitty ass schools, they're not getting funding, and it's their test scores that are bringing the overall test scores down. So the stat that he's citing, like, it does seem incredibly out of whack, but the places, it seems like spending money doesn't result in better education, but it absolutely does. 100%, the amount of money you spend on education correlates to better education outcomes every single time. The problem is, in this country, we tie education to property taxes. Your schools are funded by your property tax, so rich neighborhoods have good schools. Poor neighborhoods have really bad schools, and then those poor neighborhoods drag down the performance overall of the United States children.
Are not proficient in either reading or in math, 70%. 40% of fourth graders lack even basic reading skills, can't read. Students in our public elementary and middle schools score worse in reading today than when the department opened by a lot. In Baltimore, 40% of the high schools have 0 students who can do basic.
And if you had taken a statistics class, you'd know that correlation doesn't equal causation. And that's not the reason why. The Department of Education isn't the reason why.
Basic mathematics. Not even the very simplest of mathematics. I said, give me your definition of basic. And they're talking about like adding a few numbers together. Despite these breathtaking failures, the department's discretionary budget has exploded by 600% in a very short period of time, and it employs bureaucrats in buildings all over Washington, D.C. And as a former real estate person,
the Department of Education gives out money, federal funding to, yes, higher education, research students, other institutions. Like, there's several things that the Department of Education funds, and that's all it really does. It doesn't set curriculum. A lot of these dumb fucks don't know that. The MAGAs don't realize that the curriculum is supposed to be set by your state board of education, but in reality, it gets set by what's the name of the textbook company, McGraw-Hill or whatever, because they're the ones that pick the curriculum, so they get to set it. It's once again, we're blaming capitalism here because that's the cause of it. So it's these giant textbook companies that actually set the curriculum, and the state departments of education are kind of hamstrung about it.
I will tell you, I ride through the streets of Washington, and it says
Fuzzy Sambo, good evening.
Department of Education. I said, how do you fill those buildings? It's crazy what's happened over the years. I'm pleased to report that after offering these federal employees 2 generous buyout options, and
just really got started, Simba.
They're good people, but they were very generous. My administration has initiated a reduction in force, and we're already cutting numbers that were really surprising to a lot, that we were able to do it so successfully. And we've cut the number of bureaucrats in half. 50% have taken office, which is great. Thank you. Under the action I'm taking today, a small handful of Democrats and others that we have employed for a long time, and there are some Republicans, but not too many, I have to be honest with you. But the department's useful functions, and such as, and they're in charge of them, Pell Grants, Title I funding, resources for children with disabilities and special needs will be preserved, fully preserved. They're all going to be so. If you look at the Pell Grants.
Minty, good evening. If you don't know what Minty is talking about, that was the signing ceremony. This was him giving a press conference directly afterwards. The signing ceremony, he surrounded himself with school children. They're sitting at like desks around him and shit.
I was very lucky. I signed another document that turned out to be very good for the country, and I said, let's use that same pen. I don't know, is anybody superstitious? Ron, are you superstitious? Let's use that same pen. Okay.
Last night, the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, went on with one of the Fox News ghouls. Which show was he even? Oh, he was on with Jesse Waters. And this, like, I haven't heard anybody say it. I haven't heard any, like, legal experts. If the legal eagle tells me, like, I will believe him. But this seems like it's very illegal. Flash, good evening.
Firebombing Teslas.
Minty, good evening.
I mean, this is just so outrageous. You have probably the best entrepreneur, the best technologist, the best leader of any set of companies in America.
That's all bullshit.
For America, and you have this sort of weird side of the Democratic Party attacking him. Let me remind you, he's the guy who saved the astronauts, and he's the guy who's going to build the next generation technology. I think if you want to learn something on this show tonight, buy Tesla. It's unbelievable that this guy's stock is this cheap. It'll never be this cheap again. When people understand the things he's building,
wow,
the technology he's building, people are going to be dreaming of today and Jesse Waters and thinking, gosh, I should have bought Elon Musk's stock. I mean, who wouldn't invest in Elon Musk? You got to be kidding.
All right, so you're calling the bottom. This is it.
Whether today's the bottom or not, I tell you what, Elon Musk is probably the best person to bet on I've ever met. And I think we all know.
That just seems absurd. Absolutely, that's market manipulation. And then even without what I'm getting ready to tell you, it seems like market manipulation. But when you add in the fact of the news, that was last night, and then the news that broke this morning in latest blow to Tesla, regulators recall nearly all Cybertrucks. U.S. safety regulators on Thursday recalled virtually all Cybertrucks on the road, the 8th recall of the Tesla-made vehicles since deliveries to customers began just over a year ago. Did Lutnick know that this was coming this morning? Did Lutnick sell off stock? This has to be illegal. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's recall, which covers more than 46,000 Cybertrucks, warned that the exterior panel that runs along the left and right side of the windshield can detach while driving, creating a dangerous road hazard for other drivers, increasing the risk of a crash. The stainless steel strip, called a cant rail assembly, between the windshield and the roof on both sides is bound to the truck's assembly with a structural adhesive. I watched a guy on, and hold on. I watched a guy on fucking, I retweeted it. Let me go find it. I didn't even save it. I just retweeted it out because it was hilarious to me. Oh, it's a guy just tear it apart with his bare hands. Yeah, here we go. Andrew, A Money Resists. This dude's awesome.
No way. Oh my god! 3 fingers. It's all one piece of the body. Oh yeah, they don't use house parts for their trucks. Now let's see how the mirrors compare to the F-150 mirrors. Okay. This is gonna be good. Absolutely pathetic. You did not build a truck, you built a little kitty baby Little Tyke's car, did everything that truck did, still runs, still drives, could go across the country right now. This, not so much, can't do anything at all. Genuinely zero effort. Let me rip the fender flares off the F-150. Oh yeah, it's all one piece. This is one issue with the whole steer by wire. The truck is bricked, I can't steer my truck.
Mad props to Andrew, new YouTube channel.
One slight issue.
Live from the Resistance. Clinically's right. Clinically's right. I don't think you can destroy those little Tykes cars. I think the ones that were all made when the molded plastic little fuckers, the ones that were made when I was a kid, they're still in existence. Fire resist. Good evening. You can't destroy them. Yeah, Clinically's right. That was an insult to those little Tykes cars. Those are well made. Fisher Price used to make good shit. I don't know if they do anymore. Pam Bondi upset about everybody being mean to Elon and Tesla.
Frankly, it's domestic terrorism. It's disgusting. And what the thing that's really horrifying is how many leaders on the left are celebrating it instead of condemning it.
So the FBI investigating attacks on at least 7 Tesla facilities.
Let's see the Molotov trolls.
Dealerships. The people who own the cars are also being threatened. The DOJ is calling the vandals domestic terrorists, and some breaking news that we have. AI. Attorney General Pam Bondi announcing severe charges against these arsonists. Alicia Acuna has the latest. Hi.
Hi, Taylor. Yes, and we do have a little bit more detailed information from this release from the DOJ and Attorney General Pam Bondi. You know, one of these defendants is out of Oregon, and he was found, according to the DOJ, with an AR-15 rifle. He was arrested after throwing approximately.
What's up, Pigeon? Welcome in. Thank you for being a freaking follower.
You also have someone who was arrested here in Colorado for arson and also graffiti.
Anything they don't like is going to be terrorism, because they're going to be deporting anybody they call a terrorist. Just you wait. Deport me, Trump. Come on. Send me to El Salvador. I hear it's beautiful this time of year.
A Tesla dealership. That's about
it's fall, right?
Where I'm sitting. And then again, in South Carolina, another defendant, he wrote profane messages, according to the DOJ again, against President Trump and Tesla, and also attempted to light a charging station on fire with Molotov cocktails. So we will continue to bring you more developments on that and what the DOJ is doing. But also, we want to tell you about a website the DOJ is looking into that is reportedly posting personal information.
Yes, I posted that in our Discord. If you guys want it, it has the locations of all the Teslas in the country. I believe every single Tesla. They're that easy to track. And apparently like Molotovs over them.
About Tesla owners, including their addresses and phone numbers. And we're not going to show you that site because it is also
I'm going to show it to you.
In protest. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had this to say earlier today on Fox.
He will ensure that the harshest penalties are pursued for those who are engaging in this vicious violence that we have seen targeted at this American company, Tesla dealerships, Tesla employees, and also innocent Americans who have chosen to drive these vehicles.
So for the last 2 months, and ever since Tesla CEO Elon Musk began working with Doge, law enforcement has been responding to scenes similar to this attack at a Las Vegas Tesla dealership and service center. The FBI is investigating as incidents have spread to multiple Tesla storefronts and charging stations in at least 11 states.
I can't find the website.
By Lakewood, Colorado, are looking for the person who cut all the cords at a Tesla charging station. As I mentioned, a handful of arrests have been made around the country, but so far the FBI has not said if they are connected. And look at this. This man has been arrested for keying a woman's Tesla in a San Jose parking lot while she was in Costco. So, Taylor, we've seen a lot of that kind of thing on social media. And in case anyone is wondering, the Tesla vehicles record their surroundings for their owners if they
do.
Sentry mode. So if someone out there vandalizes a Tesla, the car itself could likely be gathering information to be used against that person.
Good. Get them. Thank you, Alicia.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
These nuts. 747, welcome in, my friend. The site is apparently called Doge Quest. I've not been able to find the actual website. I will give you guys this. The site claims to dox Tesla owners across the U.S. Posted a searchable map, which it claims to be the names, addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses of Tesla owners across the United States. says it will remove the data if an individual proves they have sold their Tesla. The map also includes the addresses of Tesla dealerships, the rough locations of Tesla superchargers, and the personal information of employees of the Elon Musk-headed Department of Government Efficiency. I'm neutral, completely neutral here. I'm just showing you this for no reason at all. Just trying to be informative. Showing it to you so you can make sure to stay away from it. You do not want to go to a website that will tell you how to firebomb Teslers. It's just what that news be doing. That's all we're doing, right, Avalon? We ain't doing nothing wrong. I am only showing you this map of supposed Tesla owners, Doge employees, and Tesla chargers to make sure you stay away from it. We'll make sure everybody can keep themselves safe. People at the Vancouver International Auto Show apparently didn't feel that they would be safe, so Tesla got the boot.
Over 100,000 visitors are expected at this week's Vancouver International Auto Show, eager to explore the latest models. But there's a major automaker absent from the event.
We are receiving overwhelmingly positive comments, agreeing that we made the right decision to remove Tesla from the show solely from a safety position.
The show's organizer says Tesla was given multiple opportunities to withdraw over the last 7 days, but was ultimately dropped a day before the show opened its doors. He says politics played no role in the decision.
So this is the city's beloved automotive event.
Tesla has recently faced strong backlash in Canada with protests at its dealerships due to Elon Musk's proximity to the U.S. President Donald Trump, who has threatened tariffs and annexation towards Canada. CBC News has reached out to Tesla but has not received a response.
I honestly think it was smart, especially in Vancouver.
Alien, good evening.
Like to react a little bit, and Tesla's not exactly a Canadian company.
Well, I think Tesla is quite controversial at the moment. So for people who are here to just enjoy the show and not get too involved in the politics of it, it's probably a smart move.
I feel like it's just kind of not a great time for them to be involved in a show like this.
Yahoo!
The company has also faced other bumps in the road this month. As of March 12th, Tesla vehicles have been removed from the province's EV subsidy program, a move Clean BC says was driven by eligibility changes.
You know, government can make changes and do whatever it wants to its program. We just have to administer it based on the rules that we're given. And they made the decision to exclude Tesla vehicles.
BC Hydro removed Tesla products from its electric vehicle charger rebate program in response to U.S. tariffs. And now its absence at this auto show, another sign of Tesla's ongoing tensions. Shivani Joshi, CBC News, Vancouver.
It's almost like Elon is a dumb fuck and doesn't know what he's doing. Speaking of dumb fucks, a man by the name of Kevin O'Leary was on CNN apparently gargling Elon's balls. At least it's not a government official this time.
When you set a car on fire, you should go to jail. You're a criminal.
Any car,
I don't think we have to talk about it in any other context. And all those cars have cameras in them, and those dealerships have cameras.
Mr. Sprong.
You're beyond being stupid when you do that. You're going to go to jail, and you now have a government that just got their mandate. They can't wait to find idiots that do this. You're going to spend 5 to 20 years in prison. If they get them on terrorism, which I think is a stretch, they will have no parole, no shortened sentence. They'll rot in hell in prison for 20 years. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. Breaking in, shooting a car, setting on fire, nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with Tesla. You are a criminal, and you should go to jail.
What about the broader question about the the protest factor. I mean, you heard
What
Tim Walz.
protest? You're a criminal.
I'm talking about Tim Walz and his comments about the Tesla stock. He says it gives him a boost to see that stock going down.
That poor guy didn't check his portfolio and his own pension plan for state. It's beyond stupid what he did. He's talking down a 3.5% weighting in his own pension plan. I mean, what's the matter with that guy? He doesn't check the well-being of his own constituents in his state. I mean, that's their...
Oh, that's wild. They're like, oh, he's causing the stock market to go down. He's hurting his own constituents, or maybe we shouldn't have pension plans tied to stock markets. What that clip didn't show is apparently Kevin O'Leary is a fucking creep. Don't be touching people that don't want to be touched, O'Leary. One of the other guests on the panel took exception with him.
He literally tweeted to the members of Congress.
The oldest profession on earth
you don't have to touch me.
is not.
He literally tweeted to these members, thank you for doing this. I don't want you to touch me. That's my personal space.
I won't ever do it again.
Thank you. He literally tweeted to the members of Congress.
The oldest profession on earth
you don't have to touch me.
is not.
He literally tweeted to these members, thank you for doing this.
I did that nicely. Oh my God. No, brother. You don't just touch people. Like, you don't, like, consent is a thing. You don't just go around touching people. Fuck. I can't stand it. People get in, like, my personal space at a grocery store or something. Like, they're standing, like, right up here against me. I will look them, like, dead in the eye, like, can you fucking back up? You don't get to do it if you're Italian, and isn't O'Leary a Irish name? Not Italian. But fuck those rich assholes. Fuck rich assholes like O'Leary, like Musk, fucking even, what's his name? The supposed good one that owned the Mavericks. Fuck that dude too. He's a piece of shit. Tony, welcome in. Why am I sweeping for hair? What? I barely know who Harry Sisson is. What the fuck are you talking about? Mark Cuban. There was who was defending him? Senator Bernie Sanders says the working class people are the future of the Democrat Party, not assholes like Kevin O'Leary and Mark Cuban.
Welcome back. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are joining forces and help to energize Democratic and maybe independent voters who are discontented with the Trump presidency.
He's like a Democratic TikToker.
Events out west is part of what they call...
I think Biden hired him, or the Harris campaign hired him.
In Vegas today, I want to bring in Torian Small here at the desk and Nydia Cavazos. Torian has been following town halls held by members of Congress this district work period across the country. And Nydia joins us from Las Vegas. Nydia, you spoke with Senator Sanders. What more did he tell you?
Major, we did have a chance to speak with Senator Bernie Sanders, and we pressed him on how does the party possibly regain the trust of these constituents here in Nevada, the working class, the Latino voters who turned out in November of 2024 to support President Trump. And what he said is that the Democratic Party leadership has to tell the truth, and the truth to him means letting people know that these parties continue to be run by billionaires. And so I did have a chance to ask, he's been vocal about Democratic leadership on Capitol Hill. So I asked if there's work to be done, who is the face to this new Democratic?
Also, if you think Harry Sisson is a creep, I will tell you that I've seen multiple people that are in my chat nude. All consensually, of course.
Democratic Party and this movement, and this is what he had to say. Moving forward, who's the face to the Democratic Party?
Those people, working class people, young people, people who get their hands dirty, people who may not have graduated college, people who do not have PhDs in economics, people who are struggling to put food on the table. They've got to be involved. We got to listen to them. They are the future of the Democratic Party. And if we're going to transform this country and stop Trumpism, they are the people who are going to have to take the lead.
Now, we've been speaking to the people who have shown up here and seeing exactly what is it that they're looking for. And what they say that they're looking for is that they want more action from Democrats on Congress, on Capitol Hill, and what exactly is going to be their strategy and their messaging. And they want people to counteract what's coming from the White House and also take some action against Elon Musk. What we heard over and over was, we did not elect Elon Musk. These are words from people who are attending this rally.
And Nydia, set the scene. How many people are there? What's it like?
Battle of Awesome.
Hundreds of people. There was a line that stretched for a good distance for a couple of hours before the event started. And
now, Bulletproof, calling people champagne socialists, that's the kind of thought-canceling cliche. That legitimately is an ad hominem. You are attacking their character as opposed to engaging with their ideas, and that's what the oligarchs want you to do. That's what propaganda literally is. It programs you to just go champagne socialist and not listen to them. That is how effective propaganda is. But I assure you, you listen to Bernie Sanders, you listen to AOC, and you will agree with everything they say. Casey, good evening, my friend. Welcome back in.
it's also important to note that organizers here had to find a second venue because of the amount of RSVPs that they were getting. And so hence now we are at an outdoor venue.
So there's actually two venues that they put out for this?
It's a larger venue that was needed, given that the first one was too small to fit the amount of people that were requesting to attend.
You didn't kick them, did you?
Very good. Nydia, thanks so much for being there. Appreciate it. Torian, here's at the desk with me.
I think they were trying to troll me. Like, they've been in here before. Don't kick anybody like that. Okay, good. I get worried. Who bulletproof? The Democrat? Like, are you talking about the Biden administration? Because you haven't been here with us on the show. I can tell you all the things they did. Hey, when Biden first came into office, they cut child poverty in half. They cut child poverty in half. Man, it would have been nice if we could have continued that program that literally cut child poverty in half. I mean, did the Democrats slaughter the people of Gaza? Yeah, like, Biden provided weapons, but Trump is doing far worse. Like, I can disagree with them, but to say they did nothing, they brought suits against Google, against Facebook. They had multiple investigations into Tesla, antitrust suits against Google and Facebook. They had the strongest National Labor Relations Board that this country has ever seen. We had an investment in infrastructure, the Build Back Better Act, that Trump is now taking credit for. There are so many Republicans that are out here taking credit for something that they voted against. So to come in here and say the Democrats did nothing, fundamentally wrong. I don't play that game. Yes, I absolutely was against what they did in Gaza. But on the domestic front, Joe Biden's presidency, probably the best in my lifetime, hands down. So to say they did nothing, I take exception with that. Unionization rates rising for the first time. He went down and stood with the UAW. That's a win in my book. Like, if you're going to attack Democrats, at least do it factually and, on shit they deserve to be attacked on. I mean, at the moment, we've got Trump disobeying the courts. Bulletproof. This is capital, my friend. Capital. The corporations in this country, that was a Freudian slip, in this country invested heavily into the Democratic Party to try to squash the popular movement, Bernie Sanders, the AOCs, the Squad, They pour money in to try to get people like Cory Bush and Jamal Bowman out of office. There are coordinated efforts, attacks on AOC and Bernie constantly. Okay, I love the idea that, like, oh, the Democrats need to start pulling their weight. Like, fucking, I wish the fucking Republicans were held to the goddamn standard that the Democrats are held to. Democrats have to be fucking spotless. They can do all kinds of good things. They don't even get credit for it. Crime was at an historic low. Deportations had gone back down to 2019 levels. He opened the economy back up, got us. See, and this is me defending something that I wasn't even for. But, like, this is what you people wanted. This is what the liberals wanted. The economy back open. COVID to be a thing of the past. Fucking Biden gave that to you. You wanted America to be energy independent. Biden gave that to you. This country produces more oil and natural gas than any country in the history of the world. We handled fucking inflation better than almost any country. Kind of middle of the pack. Republicans come in, are complete ass clowns, have no idea what they're doing, skirt the rule of law, and people are still bitching about how bad the Democrats are. Seriously? How? I don't get it. Why do we never hold Republicans to the standard that we hold Democrats to? I want to know. A Democrat that was a convicted rapist would never be elected in a million years. But that can happen on the Republican side. The fuck is wrong with this country? The fuck is wrong with this country? Fucking morons.
So let me share with you exactly what I mean. Because when they like to call us radical, and what they like to call me as radical, I believe is common sense.
Bulletproof. They were true. That's the problem. I've got the data to show you. They were true. That's the power of propaganda and right-wing media now, isn't it? That's what we're up against, is what the people with money flood the zone. Like, how can we compete with a like billion-dollar propaganda machine that's making people stupid in this country? Where's my handy little chart that showed that misconceptions about the economy, about immigration, about crime correlated with your vote? You've got Fox News every night singling out what is called an anecdote, right? You take one instance. Somebody got pushed in front of a subway, and you just pound that every night. Oh my God, you could get pushed in front of a subway because it's so dangerous. Meanwhile, the statistics say crime is at historically low levels. But Fox is pushing an agenda. Not only that, they're for profit. Their entire existence depends on selling advertising, and it's a hell of a lot easier to sell advertising. Nobody wants to tune in to good news. Nobody tunes in to hear you say, oh, crime is at historically low levels. They tune in to see all the crazy shit that goes on. That's literally my show. The most absurd news, politics, and current events on the internet. No one wants to hear about it. It's peaceful. We're succeeding. Like, if it bleeds, it leads. And this is a product of capitalism yet again. I can't find my chart right now. Among the many other charts I have. But seriously, Jesus.
that when a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Common sense. I believe that a minimum wage should cover the minimum cost.
Samson, welcome in.
Common sense. And by the way, we should see that not paying a living wage is also a form of corporate welfare and looting. Because big companies like Walmart and Amazon often rely on the food stamp program and public coffers to cover the wages that they won't pay.
Boom.
I believe that homes are not slot machines for investors and Wall Street to extort working families out of every
She's with Bernie
that they have. A home is sacred. And when your landlord jacks up your rent by half overnight, or housing prices skyrocket because Wall Street treats our housing market like a casino, your government should fight for your ability to keep an affordable roof over your head.
You see who's going out and talking about the actual needs of the American people, and then you've got Chuck Schumer going out wanting to hawk his book that equates being for a free Palestine with support for Hamas.
And finally, I believe our elected officials should take on abuses of corporate greed everywhere they find it. We must get big money out of politics and make clear that our country is not for sale. And that is why I don't and never will take money from lobbyists and corporations.
Yes, I am so tired of Schumer, and hopefully we are at least at the end of his leadership in the Senate, hopefully. It feels a lot like right before Biden had to step aside, the way people are coming out. So I think Schumer is stepping down probably in a month or so. Hey, brother, who do you think is going to tell you, who do you think is going to support getting money out of the housing market? It's going to be people like Bernie and AOC. I am sure that Democrats certainly are going to be on the side in general of regulating the housing market. Socialists in particular are going to be on the side of making sure that your housing market is well regulated, affordable, maybe even subsidized by the government, maybe even taken over by the government. We have a mayoral candidate in New York City out here talking about can I play it on the... I don't know, something about the way the account owner has limited the tweets here. Let me pull up a different browser. This is Zohan Mandani, the mayoral candidate in New York City.
Grocery prices are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohan Mandani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you. Grocery prices are out of control.
It's a fantastic idea. You can do that with the housing market. Casey, you realize if you separated New York City from the rest of New York, that the rest of New York would be fucking poor? Do you realize that New York City pays for the rest of the goddamn country? You know that, right? This country survives on about 4 fucking cities. New York City, LA, Chicago, and Houston. Are you aware of that? Great restaurants in New York City. I definitely want to go. Buddy, where do you think the money comes from? Casey, my friend, I don't think you understand how things work. Jesus Christ. We have a fired Trump administration official speaking out saying that Trump does not want you to hear what she's got to say. So, I want to hear what she's got to say. He was on with Caitlin Collins.
White House to run into West Wing officials.
There we go.
Republican lawmakers, cabinet secretaries, as they're making their way to and from meetings. One of the best ways to catch officials to ask questions is when they have TV interviews on the North Lawn of the White House. Often when they are coming back, the reporters are standing there. That happened today with one of President Trump's top economic.
Bally Hooplar, the neo-fascist Zionist filth of American liberalism, will learn the taste of poverty while the world mocks you. We can only hope. Welcome in, my friend.
Advisors Kevin Hassett, as soon as he wrapped an interview. This was coming about 24 hours after President Trump had summarily fired both of the Democratic commissioners who serve on the Federal Trade Commission, which they argued was an illegal move by the president. And it also raised questions, certainly in the business world, about whether or not that could mean that Trump is preparing to seek to fire other independent agency heads, like potentially the Fed chair, Fed board members. A question that I posed to Mr. Kevin Hassett.
Remember, Trump appointed Jerome Powell, the current Fed chair. Jerome Powell says he ain't going nowhere.
The president fired last night 2 members of the FTC, the Democratic members of that. It raised questions about whether or not he does respect the independence of the Fed, or he thinks that they are fair game as well. What is the president's view on that?
We very much respect the independence of the Fed. There's a massive literature that independent central banks perform better for economies. And so I don't think that's a decision.
So he doesn't think he can fire the Fed chair?
I think that that's been resolved in the previous administration. You could go back and find a clip where I talked about it right in this space.
Those comments come after the press briefing where we heard from the White House press secretary on the firing of the FTC officials as she defended it.
The time was right to let these people go, and the president absolutely has the authority to do it. And they were given ample notice in a letter that I believe your outlet reported on. So it pretty much explains exactly why this administration chose to let those individuals go.
Is the ultimate goal to get this to the Supreme Court to try to overturn the 1935 precedent?
The goal was to let these individuals go. If we have to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court, we certainly will.
One of the fired commissioners, Commissioner Bedoya, told the New York Times, and I'm quoting now, when people hear this news, they need to not think about me. They need to think about the billionaires behind the president at his inauguration. My next source was appointed to the FTC by President Trump actually during his first term in 2018. She was the other Democratic commissioner fired by him yesterday. Rebecca Slaughter joins me now. And it's great to have you here because the statute that governs the FTC says that someone who is in your position cannot be fired only if they can be.
This is the Federal Trade Commission.
Malfeasance or inefficiency. Were you given any of those reasons when you were fired?
No, absolutely none.
And so what was essentially, was there just any argument whatsoever beyond the letter you received?
The president can fire you, and so he chooses to do so, was the argument.
But you believe that's illegal?
It is absolutely illegal. The statute that you referenced is very clear on its face. And in fact, the Supreme Court has evaluated whether it is a constitutionally valid statute and whether a president can remove an FTC commissioner. Exactly this question. They faced it 90 years ago when FDR tried to remove an FTC commissioner, Commissioner Humphrey. And they said, no, the law is clear. They cannot be removed other than for cause, and that is a constitutional law. And that precedent has not been overturned.
You said something interesting in your statement when you were fired, and you said that you believed, in part, it was because, quote, I have a voice, and he is afraid of what I'll tell the American people.
Let's hear it.
What is it that you have to tell the American people?
Come on.
Well, it's a really important point. I am a minority commissioner right now. That means I am not in charge of the agency. But what the FTC minority commissioners can do, and what commissioners at other independent agencies can do, is bring transparency and accountability to the work of the agency. So without the voice of the minority commissioners, if you see, for example, the FTC dismiss one of our many litigations against some of the big tech CEOs who flanked the president in his inauguration, you may not have any reason to know what was going on behind the scenes or what some other explanations or counter arguments will be. And that transparency and accountability has served the FTC really well for over 100 years.
And that's a very real thing. I mean, we have that picture of all of the CEOs who were flanking Trump at his inauguration, but the FTC is in active litigation with some of, maybe all of, a lot of these people?
Almost all of them.
You're looking at the names. And
I'm looking at the names right now. Almost all of them.
And so you're saying that in your position, you'd be able to speak out and say, okay, hey, they just dismissed this case against this company. Here's why I think that's a problem, or I disagree.
Yeah, so for example, in 2019, when I was a minority commissioner at the FTC settled a big privacy case with the company that was then called Facebook for a $5 billion payment. The majority of the time touted it as the largest payment ever and a huge successful win for law enforcement. But I said I disagreed, that I thought it wasn't nearly what the violations merited, and people should understand it as a slap on the wrist for a company that had the kinds of profits and revenue that Facebook had at the time. And that kind of accountability is important. And for what it's worth,
you got it, Mox.
Accountability that our now chairman provided to the FTC when he served in the minority. He had no hesitation to dissent and express disagreement, and that actually makes the work of the agency better.
Yeah, and he wrote a lot when he was a minority member as well. I mean, and they have cases, one coming up against Meta with Mark Zuckerberg, who we often see at the White House. The new FTC chair that you talk about said in a statement that he wished you well. He thanked you for your service, but he said, quote,
Marcus, welcome in, my friend.
Trump's constitutional authority to remove commissioners, which is necessary to ensure democratic accountability for our government. How long do you plan to fight your firing?
As long as it takes. I think the principle is really important. And to be very clear, this is not about me. I agree with what Commissioner Bedoya said. It's not about being forced without fear or favor, and specifically without commissioners fearing that they will get fired for failing to do a favor for the president's allies.
And do you believe
problem.
That's a real possibility now?
I absolutely believe that's a real possibility. The president has been very clear about directing law enforcement to target his enemies and favor his allies. And that is really concerning, not just to markets, as you mentioned, but it should be really concerning to real people. I think it's easy to forget what agencies like the FTC do in the soup, the alphabet soup of Washington. Last year, the FTC returned $330 million back into the pockets of Americans who were victims of frauds and scams. We are actively suing large pharmaceutical...
I don't think it's any coincidence that they're taking out the agencies that stopped you from getting defrauded and scammed when we've got a grifter for a president.
Pharmacy benefit managers, the pharmacy middlemen, over the high price of insulin. The FTC is the cop on the beat in kids' privacy. These are really important things that affect everyday people's real lives, and having the law not being forced without fear or favor is going to hurt American consumers, workers, small businesses, but it's going to be a big favor to corporate lawbreakers.
Do you think this could go up to the Supreme Court, you're firing?
I think it could.
And you're prepared for that?
I am prepared for that. It is not a fight that I was excited to have, but it is a fight that I care a lot about.
Rebecca Slaughter, thank you for your time tonight and for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much.
Marcus, it was a pleasure to drop by last night. Hang out with you for a little bit. You get a titty slap, my friend.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
One of my awesome mods should shout Marcus out. Jamie Raskin got a little heated with the Republicans today during a judiciary hearing on birthright citizenship.
From Maryland and the ranking.
You'll follow my boy Marcus.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Jason, my friend.
And thanks to all the witnesses for being here, and special greetings to my former colleague.
Jason's in charge while I go refill my drink.
Start with you, because there's been a major flurry of litigation about the onslaught of unlawful and unconstitutional executive orders that have come down from the administration. And this executive order has appeared in 4 different courts. And as I understand it, all 4 of them have worked to stop it, either through a temporary restraining order or a preliminary injunction. And they were appointed, by my count, by Presidents Reagan, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And take a look at what they said. Here's Judge
Smoke weed every day.
Who was nominated by President Reagan. Citizenship by birth is an unequivocal constitutional right. It's one of the precious principles that makes the United States the great nation that it is. The president cannot change, limit, or qualify this constitutional right by executive order. I can't remember a case that presented a question as clear as this, says Judge Kuhnauer. And the fact that the government cloaked what is in effect a constitutional amendment under the guise of an executive order is equally unconstitutional. The Constitution is not something the government can play policy games with. Here's U.S. District Judge LaPlante from New Hampshire, who'd been nominated by President Bush. The plaintiffs are likely to suffer irreparable harm if the order is not granted. Here's U.S. District Judge Deborah Boardman, nominated by President Biden to the court in my home state, in Maryland. The executive order interprets the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment in a manner that the Supreme Court has resoundingly rejected and no court in the country has ever endorsed. And finally, check out Judge Sorokin, nominated to the district court in Massachusetts by President Obama, who says, the 14th Amendment says nothing of the birthright citizens' parents in efforts to import such considerations at the time of enactment and when the Supreme Court construed the text was rejected.
Yeah, that would be an activist judge now and not original intent, wouldn't it?
Federal judge, to my knowledge, has upheld this executive order against legal attack. Tell me why you think there's such unanimity across the spectrum among the judges.
Well, first of all, the language is crystal clear of the 14th Amendment. There are thorny and complicated and broad and vague provisions of the Constitution, but the Citizenship Clause could not speak more clearly. That's what the court said in Wong Kim Ark. Its language is universal.
You know, I did a little research on this last night, and I found that the leaders of the writing of the first section of the 14th Amendment.
You know, I was wondering, I thought Congress was on break right now. This is from February. Forbes just posted it today. I was like, it's weird I haven't had any, clips of congressional hearings. Oh, yeah, the Congress is on break right now. This popped up.
Was described as the primary author of the Citizenship Clause by Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black, who said he was the 14th Amendment's James Madison, the second founder who most worked to realize the universal promise of Madison's Bill of Rights and Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. And another great Ohio Republican, U.S. Senator Benjamin Wade, insisted on making the Citizenship Clause perfectly clear to avoid any backsliding in times of high partisan feeling. He said, I've always believed that every person of whatever race or color who was born in the United States was a citizen of the United States. But by the decisions of the courts, there's been a doubt thrown over the subject. And if the government should fall into the hands of those who are opposed to the views that some of us maintain, those who have been accustomed to take a different view of it, they may construe the provision in such a way as we do not think liable to construction at this time, unless we fortify and make it very strong and very clear. If we do not do so, there may be danger that when party spirit runs high, it may receive a very different construction from that which we, the founders, put upon it. Now, so I wonder what you think Senator Wade might be saying about the debate today about whether it's okay just to throw away the first sentence of the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, he was remarkably prescient. He foresaw a future in which a future political party would want to take away citizenship and voting and political
A fascist party?
Americans
No.
didn't like and didn't view as fully American.
All right, I'm sorry to rush you along here, but the original purposes of the 14th Amendment remain perfectly clear for anyone who's an originalist, right? They wanted to stop the government from reconstituting a racial or ethnic caste system based on the inheritance of a subordinate or a superior legal status from one's parents. In post-Reconstruction America, nobody would ever become a slave or a serf or a legal outcast or a prince or a princess or a king or a count at birth, because everybody here would attain equal citizenship at birth. Am I capturing it correctly?
You are.
All right, I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
I think.
Now, I wanted to play that, which I thought was today. It was apparently a couple of weeks ago, to dovetail into the deportations that I'm going to be covering. But we have one Miss Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education in this country, just spoke with reporters within the last hour about the initiative to destroy the Department of Education.
Good evening, good evening. It's nice to see all of you today on this beautiful, glorious, sunny evening in Washington, D.C. with the thunder and lightning rolling around.
This sunny evening with the thunder and lightning rolling around. It appears to be dark. The lights are on. This was within the last hour. On this sunny evening with the thunder and lightning.
Good evening, good evening. It's nice to see all of you today on this beautiful, glorious, sunny evening in Washington, D.C. with the thunder and lightning rolling around us.
Do you have any comment on civil rights? Obviously, the Office of Civil Rights has opened investigations into anti-Semitism, Title IX violations. What happens to the Office of Civil Rights under this executive order? Will the Office of Civil Rights continue?
This is your Secretary of Education.
Well, certainly the executive order did not specify what happens with any of the departments within education. So we are looking at where best those departments could be located. I mean, the Department of Justice already has a civil rights office, and I think that there is an opportunity to discuss with Attorney General Bondi about locating some of our civil rights work there.
Do you have a comment on the lawsuit being filed by Brandy Weingarten? This is the person who said that she'll only care about students once they start paying union dues. Does she have any standing suing the administration?
Well,
I'm sure she didn't say that.
With Randy Weingarten, I know about about a week ago.
And that is not like what. That had to be a reporter from Newsmax or OAN or something. This is the woman that was not a earnest question from a reporter.
Comment was the president wanted to take education away from children, which clearly is not the case. He wants to improve education for children. He wants to get those dollars, even more dollars, back to the states without the bureaucracy of Washington. So that's our plan. That's our goal. I'd be glad to meet with her and talk to her about that.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, can you talk about what will happen to some of the employees who are part of the DOE as you kind of shrink the department, ultimately looking to close the department? What will happen to these employees? Have you discussed, what the next plan will be for all of these employees?
Well, thank you so much for asking that, because last week we had we did terminate almost half of the Department of Education. We did it thoughtfully. We looked to see where duplication was in the departments. We wanted to make sure that we were just cutting fat from the bureaucracy, the inward-facing things, not the outward-facing servicing that we do to students and to states. So we did it very carefully. We wanted to make sure that we complied by the law. But they had, those that were terminated will get 3 months of full pay and benefits, and after that, under the rules of civil service, they also will get severance package, which is very much more generous than it would be in the private sector. And then also there's accrued sick leave and unused leave that they will also get paid for. So, you'd like to provide as soft an off-ramp as you can, because after all, it's not easy, and I've done it in the private sector too. It's really not easy to terminate people.
President Donald Trump wants to send education back to the states. Education originally, but
eliminate half thoughtfully.
The nuclear family in this country has been decimated. We got a fatherless crisis going on in this country.
Who are these reporters?
Father, and all the statistics show that kids that grow up with a father in the home do far better in education. So I think if we can strengthen our nuclear families again in this country, that would really help the Department of Education or the education in this country.
Well, unfortunately, I can't do anything about reestablishing the nuclear family. I would hope that we would see more of that happen, because
your husband is a serial rapist. You guys are separated and have been for years.
Statistics really do support exactly what you've said.
Mox, you're probably right on that one.
We've had parental involvement in children's education.
I don't know that that's so much a hot take. Is it?
And a lot of charter schools are
not so much a hot take as it was a low bar. Honestly, but Linda's still going to be pushing for school choice just like DeVos was. But Linda's probably a better human being than Betsy DeVos. Maybe, I don't know. This is your Secretary of Education getting tombstoned by the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. And as a bonus, I find this amazing. Stone Cold Steve Austin has stunnered both the president and now the Secretary of Education as well. Give me an oh hell yeah. She took it horribly. Took it horribly. Oh, Mark says decent sell, I guess, for an old woman. She took it better than Vince. She took it better than Vince. Casey, why the hell would you say that? What does that have to do with anything, though? I can't believe Vince isn't part of the administration, to be honest with you. A judge took the Department of Homeland Security to task today over their willful disobedience in the face of a court order. They were asked to show evidence that, they didn't willfully disobey an order, and the judge said it was insufficient.
A legal showdown, President Trump invoking an 18th century wartime act to deport hundreds of migrants, most of them Venezuelans, to a notorious prison in El Salvador. The deadline has now passed for the Trump administration to provide a legal showdown, President Trump invoking an 18th century wartime act to deport hundreds of migrants, most of them Venezuelans, to a notorious prison in El Salvador. The deadline has now passed for the Trump administration to provide information about the deportation flights. A federal judge demanded specifics about when exactly the flights left U.S. airspace after the White House ignored his directive to turn the planes around and return the migrants.
Ritter, welcome in. I think 3 of them have been proven to be legal.
ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin joins us now with more. Olivia, the judge in this case issuing a new order slamming Trump's DOJ over its handling of her request for more information. What did they say?
Yeah, Judge Boasberg clearly is not happy right now. I'm looking at the order, which we just got in, and what he is saying is that the government's submission, remember, he had asked for more information here on those deportation flights. He is now saying that their submission is, quote, woefully insufficient. He documents here saying that essentially a low-level ICE employee submitted much of the same information in
then lock him up.
It's a 6-paragraph declaration. What he's saying is all the Department of Justice submitted from this low-level ICE employee, essentially repeating much of the same information that they had already given the judge. The judge saying that this is not enough, and now Eva ordering. Remember, because part of this is the Department of Justice is considering whether they invoke the state secret privilege. So the judge is now ordering someone with involved in cabinet level discussions to submit a sworn declaration for him. So clearly he is not happy here. He wants someone involved in cabinet level discussions, someone high up, to come to him and tell him what is going on here. And again, saying it is
they're going to flaunt it.
What the government
There's no way
provided today for him by the deadline.
Not flout it. There's no way. There's no way. They're not going to send a cabinet level official. They're not going to send Stephen Miller down there. You're going to have to start locking some people up. And that's what I want to see. Because, like, it's getting scary in here. Shit is going down. An Orange County couple are set to be deported after being in the United States for 35 years. No criminal history. Here legally. What the fuck?
Been following about an Orange County couple detained after living here in the U.S. for 35 years. The family says their parents are now expected to be deported to Colombia by the end of this month. NBC4's Hetty Chang is live right now in Newport Beach with what we've learned about this particular case. Hetty.
Colleen, I spoke with Stephanie Gonzalez today. She tells me that her parents, Gladys and
a heady buzz.
Detention center now in Louisiana. Now, an ICE spokesperson today confirmed what the family told us last week, that neither has a criminal history, but that spokesperson says they are violating immigration law and both have final orders of removal.
Me rompe el corazón. Porque
Stephanie Gonzalez shares her family's heartbreak. She says her parents, Gladys and Nelson, have lived in Southern California for 35 years. She says they're good people who paid their taxes, raised a wonderful family in Laguna Niguel, and recently became first-time grandparents. But Gonzalez's parents came to the U.S. from Colombia illegally. And the family says during a routine check-in with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, their parents were both detained February 21st, and they're now scheduled to be deported to Colombia by the end of the month.
Well, it was wrong about them being here legally then.
Gonzalez says President Donald Trump promised to take out criminals who have committed horrible crimes, and that's not the truth. She says her parents have no criminal history, and an ICE spokesperson did confirm that today. In a statement saying, in part, as part of its routines operations, ICE arrests aliens who commit crimes.
Bronk, permanent resident.
On to emphasize, and other individuals who have violated our nation's immigration laws. While immigration enforcements have focused
Mox, a permanent resident, not citizen.
We're now starting to see what ICE calls additional priorities being carried out. ICE confirms an immigration judge found no legal basis to allow the Gonzaleses to stay in the U.S. and granted Gladys and Nelson voluntary departures in 2000. The Gonzalez family says their parents tried everything they could to appeal their cases and find a pathway to citizenship, but they say they were given bad legal advice through that decades-long process. Now, 25 years later, the couple was taken into ICE custody on February 21st to process a final order of removal. Gustavo Mora is an immigration attorney who does not represent the Gonzalez family, but says has many clients in the same situation.
Under the Trump administration, I have seen...
So they just missed it, didn't they?
More aggressive. Yes. But realistically, this would be...
Yeah, because I'm 40 years old. I was born in 84. They missed it by like 2 years. Fuck.
They, the courts found that they had no relief.
The Gonzalez family says they've exhausted all of their options and that the best thing they can do right now is help their parents prepare for a new life in Colombia once they're deported. The family has started a GoFundMe account to help their parents start a new life in Colombia. That account has raised more than $55,000.
Wow.
We're live in Newport Beach. Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
At least Colombia seems like it's better off than it would have been in the 80s. That's the one bright side to it, but still, like, they're basically foreigners in that country. Oh my God, anonymously. That's horrible. Yeah, I had a friend contact me. He was like, hey, if I've got a friend who's not necessarily legal, what do I need to do? And I looked up some resources. I found, the ACLU has a checklist of like what you need to do if you need to hide somebody. Land of the free, right? I thought this was America. Georgetown graduate student arrested for allegedly spreading Hamas propaganda and doubt.
Well, federal immigration authorities have arrested and detained a grad student from India who was teaching at Georgetown University on a student visa. A DHS official claims Badar Khan Suri had close connections to a known or suspected terrorist and that he was actively spreading Hamas propaganda and promoting anti-Semitism.
Now, this is just the latest move in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Suri's lawyer says his client is innocent and is petitioning for his immediate release. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney has been following this case from our D.C. bureau. Ken, the DHS statement.
Yeah, that's the propaganda that Palestinians are human beings, that Palestine deserves the right to self-determination. That's the propaganda.
It references a sort of section of the Immigration and Nationality Act as grounds for this deportation. But does the government have any standing here?
Yeah, Morgan, the law in question gives the Secretary of State discretion to remove visitors from the United States if there's reasonable grounds to believe that their presence or activities would have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States. So obviously that's a judgment call. Now, it's true that Mr. Suri is married to the daughter of a senior former advisor to Hamas and that he's expressed support for the Palestinian cause on social media. But of course, his lawyer says he has no criminal record and has not been charged with a crime. And he's now suing to contest this deportation, and that litigation will go forward. It'll be interesting to see whether a judge allows him to be released while that happens.
Ken, this all comes after allegations that the Trump administration recently ignored a court order and deported a professor at Brown who's a Lebanese citizen, but she did have a valid U.S. visa. So Customs and Border Protection, they're denying those accusations. What does this bode for people who are in the country and have this kind of background?
Yeah, Vicky, and there's also the case of Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbia
that are here illegally
student who is facing deportation proceedings over his Palestinian activism. What's very clear here is the Trump administration is targeting visitors to this country, people in various stages of immigration status who have been advocates for the Palestinian cause. And the Trump administration says that has bordered on supporting terrorism with Hamas. And that's going to be the question that's going to be litigated. And judges ultimately, I think, are going to have to decide whether the Trump administration is within their rights to do this. And of course, the president is asserting that this is his national security prerogative. So it's going to be an interesting court fight that plays out.
All right, Ken Delaney, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking.
Shut up, Lester. An immigrants' rights activist was arrested, facing deportation. Axios reporting that it marks a big shift in enforcement. This is Jeanette Vizguera, a Mexican immigrant who sought sanctuary in a church to avoid deportation. The arrest of a longtime immigrants' rights activist who made national headlines when she took sanctuary in a Denver church during President Trump's first term has rattled advocates and immigrants across the country. Despite the Trump administration's pledge to focus on the worst of the worst, Jeanette Vizguera joins a growing list of nonviolent figures targeted in the immigration crackdown. Immigrant rights groups worry a string of arrests signals a new phase in immigration enforcement and efforts to silence critics. Ms. Guerra was on a break from her job at a Target store near Denver on Monday when U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents detained her, according to Jordan Garcia, an advocate with the American Friends Service Committee. Woo! Casey, once again throwing out the gifts. Thank you so much. Comes in all adversarial and then, like, spreads the joy. Apparently doesn't want too much smoke from us. Thank you, my friend. I will break out the bong on that one. I appreciate you. Each and every sub means so much to me because, like, fucking, this shit's a lot of work. Samson, join me. I went to the dispensary a couple days ago. Ah, fucking fuck. Thanks, T-minus. Fuck. The best band to listen. Oh my God, that's hard. ABBA. ABBA is a great band. I enjoyed when we watched ABBA on Saturday Night Live on the first season when we watched it months ago. Best band to listen to, Glass Animals. Glass Animals. Casey, I don't know why you've taken a liking to me, my friend, but I appreciate it. And, like, the fact that, like, I can be mean to you and then you'll still do this. We're friends even if we disagree. Hours dancing to ABBA. There's nothing wrong with that. Are you familiar with Glass Animals, Avalon? Oh, yeah, fuck. My bad. Mox keeping me honest over here, as always. You get a titty slap, Mox.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
Do give Glass Animals a try. It's a kink. It's a kink. Oh crap. Almost cussed already. It was less than 10 seconds. Almost dropped an S-bomb. Light one up, tip one back. Let's all get high. It does feel weird in this capitalist endeavor here on being on Twitch to be in the middle of a story about, like, you know, horrific abuse of power in my country, where it seems like, you know, this is the, I don't want to say it's the starting point of a dictatorship, because we're long past the starting point. But, like, they're setting it up to be able to imprison, like, anybody that speaks out against them. You see that, right? This is exactly how it starts. They condition you to be okay. Oh, they're just deporting violent criminals. Glass Animals is one of the most amazing experiences you will ever have. I assure you. Glass Animals for everybody. If you've been around while I'm listening to music, a Glass Animals song is bound to pop up. I would recommend their very first album. Just put it on random, let it play all the way through, whatever. Second one's a little more experimental. I didn't like it as much as first, but it's probably the one I go back and listen to the most now, because it's really fucking cool. And yeah, that's the thing with this administration, is it's going to be it's a new kind of fascism. It's like a techno-fascism. It's not Mussolini-style fascism, but Mussolini described it as the merger of the state and the corporate realm. It's an aristocracy of fucking Byronic. Welcome in. Spooky ABBA. When she says spooky ABBA, I'm pretty sure she means ghost. But yeah, it was kind of weird to pause in the middle of such a horrific story to be like, thank you for supporting my stream and helping me survive and make more content. Harumba! Welcome in, my friend. Welcome. Ooh, Byronic. That, yeah. I hate that taste. I hate when you get the acid reflux. But I did save, as we were in the middle of all these stories about deportations, I did save one that was kind of a little schadenfreudish for the end. Trump voter says he doesn't regret his choice despite the fact that his wife has been picked up by ICE. Now that's some fucking brainwash. God damn it. That's some brainwashing. A man who voted for Donald Trump says he does not regret his decision, even after federal immigration authorities arrested his wife as the couple returned home from their honeymoon. Bradley Bartel's wife, Carmelo Menuz, is a Peruvian citizen who overstayed her initial visa but was working toward obtaining permanent residency in the United States. Despite the couple's ordeal, Bartel still supports Trump, who has vowed to conduct the largest mass deportation operation in U.S. history. I don't regret the vote, Bartel told Newsweek. I hope she leaves him too. Millions of Americans. Oh, is that Llama? Welcome in. Millions of Americans voted for Trump in support of his promise to carry out large-scale deportations of migrants living in the U.S. unlawfully, particularly those with criminal records. As immigration enforcement efforts ramp up across the country, concerns are mounting that the Trump administration is not, as pledged, of course, targeting the worst. We do this. Immigration and Customs of... We knew this would happen. We told you so. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents have spearheaded or apprehended... I can't talk tonight. I'm also a little tickled. Agents have apprehended nonviolent criminals and legal permanent residents while fulfilling Trump's mass deportation plans, and the White House has said that anyone in the country illegally is a criminal. In 2019, Menuz arrived in Wisconsin Dells on a work-study visa, which expired around the time COVID-19 began, and international travel came to a standstill. While working in farming and hospitality, she met Bartel, who gave her his number on a scrap of paper, though she initially threw it away. A few days later, they reconnected on Facebook and soon developed a serious relationship. The couple eventually married, but a honeymoon wasn't possible because of the pandemic. In February, they traveled to Puerto Rico to finally take their honeymoon, and upon returning to the U.S. mainland, immigration agents stopped Munoz and asked whether she was an American citizen. When she explained that she wasn't, but was in the process of obtaining a green card, they detained her. She's being held at an ICE facility in Louisiana, and that's one of the worst, isn't it? Speaking with Newsweek, Bartel described the emotional toll of watching his wife detained. It's all been a nightmare, really, taking things as they come and moving forward. We have an attorney. The system for getting people through seems to be very inefficient, so it's taking longer than it should. Brother, that's what I've been saying this whole time. The problem with our immigration system is that we don't have enough judges and lawyers. That's the only thing. There's not some invasion. There's not people overwhelming the system. That's all propaganda. And we don't properly fund the lawyers and the judges because the Republicans are purposely throwing a wrench into the system because they want to demonize minorities. They want to demonize minority groups. This is the playbook of fascist administrations throughout history. If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. This is exactly what they do. Still, Bartell stood by his vote for Trump. Since sharing his story, he has faced intense public scrutiny. I've received a lot of hateful messages, plenty of people saying we deserve this, and a lot of other insults. Bartell has criticized ICE and called for reform. ICE never really has any information, it seems. The system needs to be revamped for better processes and communication between departments. No, ICE needs to be abolished. I'm like twice as old as ICE. People don't realize that. People think ICE has been a thing forever. I'm twice. It's a product of the war on terror. I could drink when ICE became a thing. The Department of Homeland Security, all together. Let's go. Let's get rid of it. You want to... Why are we cutting shit that helps people? We're gutting the Department of Education when it hands out money to make sure that women and handicapped kids and children with disabilities and shit have equal opportunity within schools. That's all the fucking Department of Education does. I know. We're cutting programs that you buy food from farmers and give it to poor people. It's insane. But this monstrosity of an agency that hasn't even existed as long as I've been alive could be cut. Nobody would miss it. It's been the TSA, pain in our ass. Do I get a pass on that one? All this post 9/11, that's where we should be cutting things. It's the security theater that we put in our airports. ICE's security theater. Are the people finally starting to turn on Trump? Apparently his approval ratings dropping like a brick. Oh, we're officially at the 2-month mark. This has been 2 months exactly. It feels like it's been forever.
Today officially marks 2 months in office for President Trump, and new polls are revealing just how voters are feeling about the start of his second term. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton, is here to run the numbers for us. All right, how is Trump doing compared to where he was just after he was sworn in January? Very different numbers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're very different. I mean, look, here's the bottom line. Trump's net job approval rating. Look, in January 2025, he was on the positive side of the ledger. He was at plus 7 points. Look now, he has come back down. He is underwater, right? He's doing a little bit of the breaststroke, maybe doing a little bit of the butterfly. He's at minus 2 points. And it's not just in one poll, it's multiple. CNN, Fox, Ipsos, NBC, and Quinnipiac University, 999, the American folks are saying, oy vey.
What? What? Did he just go 999 and then go oy vey? Did you just mix German and Jewish references together? What? Oh my God. Who is this guy? Have we watched him before? Because this is amazing.
Different. I mean, look, here's the bottom line. Trump
objectively
approval rating. Look, in January 2025,
Dougie,
on the positive side of the ledger. He was at plus 7 points. Look now, he has come back down. He is underwater, right? He's doing a little bit of the breaststroke, maybe doing a little bit of the butterfly. He's at minus 2 points. And it's not just in one poll, it's multiple. CNN, Fox, Ipsos, NBC, and Quinnipiac University, 999, the American folks are saying, oy vey, ay caramba.
Okay, well, that was a lot of different...
Ay caramba.
How unusual is it for a president at this point to have a net negative. Let's go back in the annals of history.
I love going to the history books. I did quite well on my SAT 2 in U.S. history. Presidents with negative net approval ratings at this point of term since 1937, going back to the second term of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Well, there are two men on the screen, and they're the same two men, Trump in 2017 and Trump in 2025. He only matches himself. I guess the good news is he's doing a little bit better than he was 8 years ago at this point. But when you're only matching yourself,
for now,
the only dude who's underwater at this point, not particularly good. Every single other president at this point in a term, either first or second, was above water. So Donald Trump likes to make history, but this is a type of history Donald Trump does not like to make.
How is he doing when it comes to the issues? Because that seems to be the big thing for 2025, which is a little different.
Yeah, I like to unbutton when I'm standing up.
Look, here are the issues. Sometimes I like lists. You know, I like lists. I like lists for writing out my groceries. Basically, it's a two-line list. It's like cream soda and popcorn. But on this particular one, Trump's net approval rating on major issues, positive. Immigration. How about negative? The economy, federal budget, foreign policy, health care, tariffs. Underwater on all of these issues.
Positive on immigration.
Dragging Donald Trump down. People came in with good expectations for Trump, better than for the first term. Yes, he's doing slightly better than he was during the first term at this point, but compared to everybody else, he's doing far worse. And the reason he's doing far worse is Donald Trump is not meeting the voters' expectations on the issues that matter to them.
This is high school graduation suit.
There you go.
This is the reason why a lot of people say they voted for him and why he's in office right now. So that's a big deal.
The whole kit and caboodle, and he is failing them in the voters' minds.
And so
whoa!
Go shopping for cream soda.
Perfect.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Harry Enton, it is always a pleasure. Now go drink.
Why cream? What? I mean, I love cream soda. I'm not going to fault him for liking cream soda, but why did he get a cream soda? Like, just because he did a good job? You get a cream soda. You get a cream soda. Did you see this? Did you hear about this? We're already talking 2028. We're already talking the 2028 race, and Steve Bannon has a prediction, and it's a doozy.
It seems that the past is behind him. So I want to talk about
I want cream
our
soda.
present and our potential future. How he can explain what we're seeing in the administration and what his role might be. Because this is the guy behind much of the aggressive messaging. America being at war, the Democrats being the enemy, the media are the enemy of the people. Okay, you've heard Trump say that a lot, but Bannon coined it, okay, in terms of this iteration of usage. The administrative state, that there needs to be shock troops to take control of the government institutions. He infamously...
A&W.
All hell would
but I also think A&W is Canadian, isn't it?
So I want to see where his mind is on what we're all living through together and what his role may be.
That's the best cream soda.
Joining me now, White House chief strategist at one time of the first Trump administration, host of Bannon's War Room, Mr. Steve Bannon. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Chris, thanks for having me on News Nation, and I appreciate you.
So the only thing that you're not going to like talking about, we'll talk about.
Oh, a Jones cream soda.
CPAC.
That's the best.
And they put up a poll of potential, you know, next generation.
Sloppy Steve and Creepy Chris. That's exactly what it is.
Are second on the list after the VP as people getting the nod at CPAC to be president. A lot of people were surprised by this. My first question, you have anything to do with putting your name in that list because you have ambitions?
No. And President Trump, I'm a firm believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump. A man like this comes along once every century if we're lucky. We've got him now. He's on fire, and I'm a huge supporter. Want to see him again in 2028.
And obviously, anybody who doesn't like what you say but judges it as a function of a lack of intelligence doesn't know anything about you. I don't make that mistake. You're a smart guy. You know he's term limited. How do you think he gets another term?
We're working on it. I think we'll have a couple of alternatives. Let's say that. We'll see. We'll see what the definition. We'll see what the definition of term. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
All right, well, so you're talking about litigating this issue, because I don't want people to listen to our interview and say, Bannon's cooking up an insurrection. Bannon is cooking up, you know what I mean? I want people to get a straight take.
I mean,
what are you suggesting?
Chris, as you know, I've had greater long shots than this. When we supported President Trump after the election, I realize you don't believe the election in 2020 was stolen. We do. We fervently believe that. When President Trump went back to Mar-a-Lago on January 20th, 2021, he was the longest of long shots to return to the White House. We said that day in our podcast and doubled down, having President Trump's back, that he was coming back not just to win the primary, he would win the White House, and we had to get organized and drive that victory, and also start working on all the policies, what's called Project 2025 or the America First Policy Institute, but all those different think tanks that started putting in the policies that you're seeing today in what we call Flood the Zone or Days of Thunder, or however you want to describe it. But this is many years in the making. So we've had greater long shots than Trump 2028, and we've got a lot of stuff we're working on there. We're not prepared to talk about it publicly, but in a couple of months, I think we will be.
But you are not suggesting revolution or overthrow or anything that people would condemn.
Chris, we just won one of the biggest sweeping victories. We're in the middle of a 1932 type realignment if we can continue on and continue to have populist policies, populist nationalist policies. We have African American men coming to our side. We have Hispanics coming to our side. So no, we're huge believers in democracy because we know how to get votes out. We know how to get low propensity, low information voters out to support the president's policies.
He said it. He said it. We're good at convincing dumb people. Wow. Yeah, Steiner math.
You take your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance.
Fuck. Fucking fuck. God damn.
One of the biggest sweeping victories. We're in the middle of a 1932 type realignment if we can continue on and continue to have populist policies, populist nationalist policies. We have African American men coming to our side. We have Hispanics coming to our side. So no, we're huge believers in democracy because we know how to get votes out. We know how to get low propensity, low information voters out to support the president's policies. The anti-democratic forces, I think you're seeing them today in the courts. I mean, they're trying to obstruct a sitting president of the United States from fulfilling his executive mandate. So no, we're the big believers.
It's coming at us like a Mack truck.
Because we won this unbelievable come from behind, not just in 16, as you know, but in 2024 when virtually everybody ruled.
That's what he's saying clinically. Half the country's fucking stupid.
About that.
We'll use it to our advantage.
Or people did not see him making the kind of comeback that he did, and that is certainly a historical comeback, no question. But I just wanted to make it clear for people so that they can't paint you as, suggesting revolution. Your analogy is to 32 and how FDR extended it. You know the Constitution.
Whoa. FDR, there was no constitutional amendment to stop a president from serving more than 2 terms. It was just like a thing they did. They all just decided to serve 2 terms. It was after FDR that they put it in the Constitution you can only serve 2 terms. Holy shit, you fucking stupid motherfucker.
Probably gets in the way.
I firmly believe in the revolution you're seeing going on now, the revolution of common sense to deconstruct the administrative state. You're seeing that battle and that combat politically and legally in federal courts every second, every day. And if your audience, I know they love you, but they ought to start paying attention to also this greater arc of this massive.
Do people love Chris Cuomo?
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to join.
Shut the fuck up, Chris Cuomo. Ooh, let me try this one out. Shut the fuck up, creepy Chris. Carla, did I tell you good evening? You can't give them an inch. You can't give them a fucking inch. A Republican senator in Wyoming faced boos from a frustrated crowd.
Breaking overnight. Anger and frustration boiling over at
Good evening, darling.
across America. Officials on both sides of the aisle.
You get a third one.
Crowds and harsh critique from constituents. Republicans continue to be blasted by voters demanding answers about President Trump and Elon Musk's gutting of
Why'd you stop talking?
and programs and agencies. Now Democrats are feeling the heat as well for their inability to push back hard against the Doge purge, though it was a different issue that took center stage last night. Pro-Palestinian protesters took over Illinois Democrat Dan Castan's town hall in the wake of Israel's strikes shattering the fragile ceasefire with Hamas. Castan faced a barrage of vocal, borderline physical attacks, so much so, police stepped in and asked the congressman to end the event.
What you're saying is I'm not going to get my way when my people are being slaughtered, and I want you to stop funding them.
If you would like to run for office, run for office.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You are the most soulless piece of crap I've ever seen.
That's your opinion.
Soulless. Soulless.
Sir, get off the get off the stage right now.
And in Wyoming, Republican Harriet Hageman was showered with boos after seeming to downplay the sweeping cuts to federal jobs at the hands of Elon Musk and Doge.
Here's the only thing that Doge has done, which is it's so bizarre to me how obsessed you are with federal government. But here's the thing. You guys are going to have a heart attack if you don't calm down. I'm sorry. You're already having heart attacks. It's just really over the top. What Doge is doing is it's the closest thing to it is the closest thing to zero-based budgeting that we've seen. Why would you be opposed? Why would you be opposed to us looking on a line-by-line basis whatever you
from an immigrant from South Africa who wasn't elected! He wasn't elected!
Wow, CNN's Arlette Saenz is with me now. Arlette, this is a trend that we saw first really targeted at Republicans. It is growing now both to Republicans and Democrats, but over and over and over again, these town halls are getting really heated because constituents are fed up. Are officials, do you think, going to stop these town halls? I know the Republicans were told by their leadership to stop doing them, but that some of them are doing it anyway.
Yes, Sarah, and town halls have really been a staple in American politics, especially in the first year of a new administration. But decisions about whether to continue holding these kinds of events are likely to fall on a case-by-case basis.
Both of them.
Congressman Sean Casten at that town hall last night said that he doesn't want to stop holding town halls, but did say that some people may decide not to attend if they feel like they are not productive. As you mentioned, the head of the House Republican campaign arm advised Republican lawmakers to hold virtual instead of in person. You have some lawmakers like Mike Flood in Nebraska and Harriet Hageman in Wyoming who have bucked that advice. Hageman herself is holding multiple town halls over a few days in Wyoming where they're really hearing a lot of frustration directed their way.
Go tell your congressperson how you feel.
His first few months in office and those Doge cuts being made to the federal government as well. But it's not just Republicans who are feeling the heat from constituents. We have seen Democratic lawmakers like Casten and others really hear a lot of the frustration that constituents are feeling at this moment. Now, one thing that a lot of Democratic lawmakers had wanted to do over this recess was hold town halls to talk about the cuts that Trump and his team are trying to make, talk about potential cuts to Medicaid that could be coming. But you also have these Democratic lawmakers who are hearing an earful from constituents about their strategy. Are
you making a list of things that you should tell your wife or girlfriend, Sampson? Because those are totally things that you should tell your wife or your girlfriend, significant other. Was it yesterday that we did the story, or was it day before yesterday? I think it was day before yesterday. It was breaking. Yesterday we had the update. Today he is a senator from Minnesota. No more. State Senator JustinFREAKin resigning.
In the last half hour, we learned JustinFREAKin is in federal custody at the Sherburne County Jail. This is his booking shot here. FREAKin made his first appearance.
Cancel Justin
this afternoon. The now former state senator resigned his seat this morning after allegedly soliciting a minor for prostitution. Danny Spiewak joins us live with new reaction.
Globus, good evening.
State leaders on both sides of the aisle. Danny.
Well, Chris, the Senate was fully prepared to expel FREAKin this morning. That is something that has never happened to a Minnesota legislator in the history of the state legislature. But before the Senate could even take a vote today, just minutes before, FREAKin voluntarily resigned.
Within minutes of submitting his resignation,
the Senate will come to order.
JustinFREAKin's name disappeared from the Senate chamber.
We will begin, members.
Followed by the Secretary's reading of his resignation letter.
I must focus on personal matters at this time. It has been an honor to serve in the Minnesota Senate. Sincerely, FREAKin.
By resigning, FREAKin avoided becoming the first legislator in Minnesota history to be expelled.
Decisive action needed to take place.
GOP Senate Minority Leader Mark Johnson called for FREAKin's resignation almost immediately after learning of the allegations.
The transcript, based on the reports, are very damning.
According to Bloomington police, FREAKin tried to meet an undercover officer whom he thought was a 17-year-old girl for sex earlier this week.
This would have been a cloud hanging over the Senate. We don't need another one of those, so now we're able to get back to work.
Senate DFL leaders said their caucus would have joined Republicans in expelling FREAKin.
It is hard to conceive of a way that Mr. FREAKin could have returned to this Capitol to operate in any way.
DFL Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy waited until FREAKin was formally charged before calling for his resignation.
Fastest is not always best. Knowing is the right way.
Meanwhile, Murphy has not called for the resignation of her own member, DFL Senator Nicole Mitchell, who faces felony burglary charges, citing due process. But Murphy says the two cases are not the same.
She doesn't pose a risk to the people who are here. Senator FREAKin, Mr. FREAKin, by that nature of what he was doing, would pose a risk to the people.
Now, Minority Leader Johnson was also asked about Senator Mitchell today. He said that today was not the day to talk about that they were going to only talk about FREAKin's case because of the disturbing nature of those allegations. Mitchell herself actually was absent from the Senate today, but now with FREAKin's seat being vacant, it'll go to a special election. We're expecting that to be scheduled probably in either late April or early May before the end of the session. Back to you.
Yeah, Danny, we've seen the turmoil at the beginning of the House session. How does this impact the rest of the session for the Senate?
Well, in terms of the Senate, it's now a 2-vote majority for the DFL rather than 1. So it doesn't have any impact on the DFL's control, of course, with this being a Republican senator having a vacant seat now. But certainly just another scandal that the legislature, whether it's the House or the Senate, has to work through as they're trying to get a budget done here, which, of course, is due May 19th.
All right. Danny Spiewak at the Capitol. Thank you.
Now, there's no way that this is so common in MAGA world that I can present you with yet another story like this in as many days. There's no way. There's no way. There's no possible way.
A San Francisco social media influencer named Richie Wynn is in trouble with the law again. He's already behind bars on suspicion of felony pimping charges. And now a federal grand jury has indicted him for producing child pornography. The new indictment says Wynn enticed 2 minors to, quote, engage in sexually explicit conduct. Prosecutors say he recorded the minors with the intentions of making money off the videos. He currently remains in custody in the pimping case. That's according to federal court records. Wynn goes by the name Raw Ricky 415, and he reported or exposed the city's open-air drug market on social media.
Raw Ricky, he's apparently a MAGA influencer, an anti-crime activist. Anti-crime activist making child porn. Very pro-MAGA, apparently. Previously served jail time for drug dealing, so probably a cover. This anti-drug thing was probably a cover anyway. Hard lessons learned from his previous life as a drug addict motivated him to get clean and expose crime in the city. They apparently interviewed him for news stories about the fentanyl epidemic, a wild carjacking caught on camera, and when he sought a job at City Hall. Just 2 months before his arrest, the influencer appeared at a campaign rally for Mayor Daniel Laurie. I'm not sure what to make of this one. An FBI agent has been arrested. We're transitioning from the politics into the crime, in case you couldn't tell. And it's starting to be a slower and slower, more gradual transition between the stories. There's not like a abrupt end to the political stuff and a hard beginning to the crime stuff anymore. FBI agent who had accused the agency of political bias was arrested at New York airport. Jonathan Buma, who had his concerns about Rudy Giuliani apparently ignored by the agency, was charged with disclosing classified information. Now this is wild. Now, is this retaliation for him trying to come out against Rudy Giuliani and because he was like a whistleblower during Biden? A veteran FBI agent who blew the whistle on alleged political bias during Donald Trump's first presidency was arrested at New York's JFK airport moments before boarding an international flight. Buma, a 15-year counterintelligence officer and eventual whistleblower, now faces charges of illegally disclosing classified information through a prospective tell-all book about his career. This sounds like what they pulled on John Bolton just to shut his book down. Usually I'd be against a federal agent, but we've got extenuating circumstances here. Federal prosecutors allege Buma systematically harvested confidential materials from the Bureau's internal systems. So did Trump, printing approximately 130 files clearly marked with security warnings. I mean, he allegedly shared draft portions of a book manuscript via email that contained information about the FBI's efforts to investigate into efforts and investigations into a foreign country's weapons of mass destruction program. During a Brooklyn federal court hearing on Tuesday, Buma was released on a $100,000 bail, though the case will be handled in California federal court, and he has not entered a plea. If they let him out on bail, then this wasn't that serious. If he had actual classified materials, he'd still be locked up. They'd Chelsea Manning his ass. Apparently, the investigation into him began during the Biden administration. The man has been charged after he killed a deputy in a crash. We covered the deputy's death the other day. Okay, I almost did it earlier in the stream. But we are going to watch a car chase. But I'm sorry, that's only going to be Twitchy people. We're going to go to the Twitch and we're going to listen to music and we're going to watch a car chase. I almost did it earlier because it's a Tesla. I wanted to show a Tesla car chase. Don't forget, tomorrow night is the Friday Night Freak Show. Twitchy people get a music request show from 7 until 10. 10 o'clock, the Friday Night Freak Show with a special surprised guest tomorrow night. Let's hope there's a lot of fire at the end. Special surprise guest tomorrow night on the Friday Night Freak Show. It is not Media Winch. Not Media Winch joining me on the Friday Night Freak Show. That's all I'm going to tell you. Saturday night, we're going to do the best of women's wrestling. It's going to be amazing. I think you definitely want to tune in for that. I'll try to get back to doing Saturday Night Live. We're like halfway through the second season. It does not start with an H, Holiday. I'm sorry. It is tree time on the Bobby Bus.
Thank you for riding with Mo Mountain Bikes. You guys got some...
Did I say I was going to have you on the Freak Show this Friday? I don't think I did, Holiday.
Up front here.
You got me second guessing myself. Curiouser. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were doing a bit. I'm dumb like that. You know that, right? So I'd be like, I might have told Holiday you can come on. Look how well behaved all of them are.
You'll get one.
You'll get one. You'll get yours.
Come on.
Josephus! You're still we're watching puppies.
Bama. Excuse you. Bama.
Excuse you.
Come on.
Dropped half of it there, girl. Nope.
It's not good for your mental health to be this wound up all the time. That's why we do puppies and wrestling and other things. Totally good and cathartic to get your anger out at the proper time. It kind of is our fault. Like, we all share responsibility. Even those of us that have, been working against all this.
Now for the squeaky chirper impatient Tully back here. So something I'm not going to do is give it to him when he's too excited or chirping like that. So
driven?
Wait for him to be calm for a good moment. We don't want to reward that slapping and protest barking. This is good for their impulse control. This is how we reward calmness. Good boy. So I'm sticking my hand out. He gets a little jumpy, so I just stop what I'm doing and restart. Good boy.
Yeah, Josie, but you can't be yelling at people in my chat about how they're responsible for fascism.
You on me if you want, so you guys can see what I'm doing. Very good boy.
Brother, we make fun of it. You're acting like you're separate from us.
Better and better each time until they're calmly waiting patiently instead of slapping their seatmate and trying to eat their seatmate. Well, sometimes we try to eat our seatmate's seat, no matter how good boy we are.
I mean, if you have consent, eat your seatmate.
Please stay in your seats. Pause to yourself. Tails out of the aisles. Murray and Carl, you two are sitting in the
You live in
emergency
sexual
exit. Are
anarchy.
you willing and capable of offloading the pups in a remote chance of an emergency? Carl, are you
I think
ready?
they accept their responsibility.
Service. Thank you for riding with Mo Mountain Bikes. You guys got some treats from from your fans again. Andrea. Up front here.
Yeah, we're going to do Police Chase featuring a Tesla. Tomorrow night we got the Friday Night Freak Show, 10 p.m. Eastern. Total freaking request live beforehand. Why am I a meanie head? What did I do that was mean? Best of Women's Wrestling on Saturday. Find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. YouTube peeps. Rumble, Kick, Odyssey, all you people. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you Sunday night on the Troll Patrol Live. Tomorrow night on the Friday Night Freak Show.